Hey, it's your girl Jenny with Keep It Simple Wellness with this week's edition of the blog video style. Now, I'm going to kind of keep a more 35,000 foot view of this blog because there's so much information. So I'm going to try to keep the video short. So if you want a deeper dive into what I'm talking about, please go ahead and make sure you check out the written blog below. So let's dive into it. So as you know, something that's been on my radar for quite some time is how your gut health influences your mental health. If you've been dealing with mental health symptoms and maybe you've been diagnosed with depression or anxiety, or you're experiencing extreme moodiness as you come into perimenopause, maybe you've been on medications for a while, or you've been off and on medications, or maybe you've gone to talk therapy for years, but you just aren't seeming to see a relief in your symptoms, okay? It might be your gut that is holding you back, and I bet you have never heard that before. Let's get into that more. In recent years, researchers have increasingly spotlighted the gut as a powerful partner in mental health. 4 common gut-related issues: an imbalance of gut bacteria, yeast overgrowth, intestinal parasites, and leaky gut can quietly influence mood, energy, and cognition. Let's shine a light on how these conditions may contribute to mental health symptoms and what practical steps you could take to support gut and brain health. So the first one we're going to cover is low diverse gut bacteria, and that means not a good combination of good and bad bacteria in our gut. So imbalanced gut bacteria, okay? This can result from a poor diet, antibiotics, stress, aging, or chronic illness, or all of it, right? So it's going to affect mental health by disrupting your gut-brain axis and how your gut and your brain communicate to one another. It's going to promote low-grade inflammation, which has been linked to depression and anxiety. And it alters your stress response, which ultimately alters your mood. And it's going to impact your sleep quality and cognitive function, compounding moodiness symptoms, okay? So we're going to heal from this by incorporating a fiber-rich diet, rich in plants, and if you can handle it, fermented foods, okay? You also want to consider limiting unnecessary antibiotics while managing stress, your sleep, and physical activity. Make sure you get moving. Okay, the second one we're going to talk about is the yeast overgrowth, and you might have heard of this. It's most commonly called a Candida overgrowth, and that's when you have yeast species overgrowing in your gut or elsewhere in the body. This comes about, and it's associated with high sugar intake, antibiotic exposure, immune changes, or gastrointestinal conditions, okay? This affects mental health by producing toxins that are going to affect mood, sleep, and cognition. And it's going to contribute to that intestinal inflammation, that low-grade chronic inflammation, and may influence gut permeability and potentially promoting systematic inflammatory signals to the brain. Okay, so chronic immune activation can be linked to, so that's what's going to happen when you have a yeast overgrowth is chronic immune activation, and it's going to be linked to fatigued, brain fog, and depressive symptoms in some people, okay? You can heal from this by avoiding excessive sugar and refined carbs. Number 3 is parasites, intestinal parasites, okay? It affects your mental health because it results in malabsorption, leading to fatigue and cognitive malaise, okay? Parasitic infections can provoke intestinal inflammation and disrupt barrier integrity, which may influence systemic immune signaling and mood. Ongoing infection can reduce energy and sleep quality, which in turn can affect mood and cognition, okay? This one's a little trickier to heal. Treatments vary by the organism, and you can do parasite cleanses. That's a little more involved than just changing your diet, eliminating certain foods, etc., like the other 3. So this one's a little bit more trickier to heal, but it's possible, okay? And finally, the 4th condition, leaky gut. So leaky gut is just intestinal permeability. It's where the lining of your intestines become more permeable, allowing larger molecules, microbes, and toxins to pass into the bloodstream. Okay, so it can affect your mental health through triggering systemic inflammation and immune responses that may influence mood, anxiety, and fatigue. So the inflammatory markers that are circulating in your bloodstream can affect brain function and neurotransmitter balance, which can potentially contribute to depressive or anxiety symptoms. And once again, we're back to that gut-brain axis. It's going to disrupt that communication and impact brain function and behavior. So as you can see from these 4 conditions, gut conditions, you can have major mental health symptoms come up, which can be diagnosed, which are diagnosed to the point where they're so extreme, they're diagnosable. And if you're not looking at your gut health, if you're not looking into what you're feeding your body and not paying attention to that, you could just be feeding into the issue that is causing all your symptoms. So if you want to know what to do, how to get tested, and then have the accountability to then go through treatment, give me a call. Reach out to me at hello@keepitsimplewellness.com. Let's start a conversation. We can set up a free 15-minute phone call where we can see if testing and going through a treatment is something that is going to be beneficial for you and relieve you of your mental health symptoms. Thanks for being with me today. Thanks for checking out this blog and this video blog, and I'll see you next week for next week's blog.